All right, we've been learning about the Revolutionary War, and we're coming to the end of this chapter, to the end of the war. That's what we're going to read about today, right? I'd like you to open your textbook and let's read together, starting on page 173. The war ends. After their winter at Valley Forge, the Americans were stronger and better trained. They heard that the British Army was leaving Philadelphia. American troops hurried to the city and took it back. The main part of Washington's army marched after the British soldiers. They caught up with them in New Jersey. There they fought the Battle of Monmouth. A woman named Molly Pitcher became famous during the battle. Molly had been carrying water to the American soldiers. It was a hot day, and her husband felt too faint to load the cannon. Molly loaded it for him. She stood, and she fought bravely in his place. Let's turn to page 174. This is a chart to help us remember all the different people who fought in this war. The Americans fought hard at Monmouth, but they did not stop the British. The British Army marched on to New York. Then they headed farther south. The rest of the war took place in the southern colonies. Many loyalists lived in the south, and the British thought they would have more colonists on their side there. Remember, patriots were colonists who thought they should fight for their independence, and loyalists were colonists who felt they were British citizens and they should be loyal to the king. In 1781, the British and American forces met in Virginia. The French sent ships to help the Americans. The American army had many more soldiers than the British. That's different from at the beginning of the war, the British had the most soldiers. The British army was trapped. At the Battle of Yorktown, the British surrendered. Surrendered means give up the fight to the Americans. Washington's army watched as the British soldiers laid down their guns. Yorktown was the last big battle of the Revolutionary War. Soon it was clear to everyone that the Americans had won. 2 years later, the British and the Americans signed the Treaty of Paris. The war was over. A new country called the United States of America was about to be born. Okay, and then the bottom of this has a timeline. And the timeline is something you're going to look at on your worksheet. Okay, a timeline can help you really picture what happened and in what order. So you look at a timeline, it has the years are listed on that timeline, and also has special make note of what things happened around this time. Okay, you can see in blue it's all 1760s, 1770s, 1780s, 1790. It's in groups of 10. 10 years is called a decade. So this timeline is in decades. And then they're giving little notes of what things happened, okay? A timeline is a chart that shows events in the order in which they happened. It can be really useful when you're studying history because sometimes you just have a lot of information, but it's hard to remember what happened at what time and which thing caused the next thing. So a timeline can help really make that clear. So I want you to use this timeline to answer these questions. And on the back, you are going to make your own timeline. There's a few more questions about your history, and then they have a place for you to make a timeline of things that have happened in your life between the year you were born and being in second grade. So you won't be able to write every single thing that ever happened, but think of a few highlights, okay? Things that you remember or that are important to you, and you put those on your timeline. Since this is a personal timeline of your life, it's just things that are important to you that you want to put on there. I look forward to seeing what you come up with for that. So we have read here about the end of the war, and the Treaty of Paris was signed, and now it's going to be time for a new nation to be born, the United States of America. So I've enjoyed learning about this with you, and I look forward to seeing your timeline. In science, we've been learning about body systems, how the body works. All right, we've learned about the skeletal system, the muscular system, the circulatory system. Today we're going to read about the respiratory system. I'd like you to open your textbook to page 184 and let's read together. Be sure you're paying attention to any bold print vocabulary words because you're going to want to underline it so you can come back to that information quickly, okay? And know that that's an important part. Okay, let's read together. Let's begin on page 184. The respiratory system. Every living thing needs oxygen to live. Oxygen is in the air around you. Your respiratory system helps your body get the oxygen it needs from the air. And I like how it has this diagram here so you can see what's going on inside of your own body. You have 2 lungs in your chest. Your lungs fill with air when you breathe in. They empty when you breathe out. If you put your hand here and take a deep breath, you can feel it fill up and then go out. The muscle that causes them to move is the diaphragm. When you breathe in, your diaphragm pulls down and makes room for your lungs to fill with fresh air. And when you breathe out, your diaphragm muscles push up. They push the old air out of your lungs. Your respiratory system works with your circulatory system. Isn't it interesting how all of the systems, they work together? God made our bodies in such an amazing way. The heart pumps blood to the lungs. There, the blood picks up oxygen. The blood vessels carry the oxygen to all parts of the body. Once your body uses the oxygen, other blood vessels carry the blood back to your heart, and the cycle starts again. You breathe about 20 times every minute. Exercise is a good way to help your heart and lungs stay strong. Okay, we've talked a lot about that. Exercise helps your bones be strong, helps your muscles be strong, helps your heart be strong, and now we're learning it can also help your lungs be strong. This is an interesting fact up here about hiccups. Hiccups can be annoying as well as embarrassing. They are caused when your diaphragm makes a jerking motion. Each jerk causes you to take in a short breath, and that short breath is called a hiccup. I do not like getting hiccups. That's interesting to think about which of your body systems is working then when you have it though. Okay, so we've read here, today we read about the respiratory system. Your worksheet today is fun. It's a crossword puzzle. I know you guys like crossword puzzles. The crossword puzzle also includes information about that you've read it before too. So it's not only about the respiratory system, it's also referring to the circulatory system. So if you're having trouble with any of the questions, you can look in your book and just be aware your worksheet, your crossword, is about the respiratory system and the circulatory system. Okay, in math, we've been learning about fractions, and today you're going to do your chapter 15 review. And when you turn this in, I'll grade this as a quiz grade, okay, to review all the things we've been learning about fractions. Okay, one of the things that we've been doing just recently is the comparing of fractions. This will come up a few times on your quiz. And so sometimes we're going to ask you to look at fractions and say which one's greater than or even equal to. Here we have 3/4, and how does it compare to 2/4? Well, you can shade in a fraction, can help you to compare. Okay, when we look at them shaded in, we can see that 3/4 is greater than 2/4. All right, so you'll have several opportunities to do things like that on your review page where you're comparing fractions. Sometimes you will be asked to partition a shape into equal parts. Remember, it's not fractions if the parts aren't equal. Okay, so you might be asked partition a shape into 4 equal parts into fourths, and then shade a certain part, or maybe you have to look at what's already shaded and name that fraction, create that fraction. This one, for example, would be 1/4, right? Those are some of the things you're going to get to do. And also in fractions, there's a thing where you are taking groups, parts of a set, if you are trying to divide something equally, or we worked a little bit with that, of parts of a set. So you want to circle an equal share. And it's usually done with a word problem, but you can just imagine you probably have to think about this all the time. If it's time to share some cookies or pie or something like that, and you have to think, how will I divide this into an equal share? Okay, so you'll be doing a little bit of parts of a set. And there are some repeated times that in your math they ask you word problems that want you to reflect on how. Math can do a lot of things. It can give you information, it can help you measure, it can help you find the amount, but math can't help you know right from wrong. Okay, so math is amazing and it can do a lot for us, but it doesn't tell us right from wrong. We learn that from our parents, from our teachers, from the Bible, right? And because of how God made the world around us. So your homework today is your math chapter 15 review. I want you to do your very best and turn it in, and this will be for your quiz grade for chapter 15. In English, we've been learning about sentence parts. We've learned about adjectives, which help us describe nouns. And we've learned about subjects, that's who or what the sentence is about. And we've learned about predicates, that's the second part of the sentence. It always has the action verb or the helping verb as the main part, okay? Your worksheet today, page 285, 286, is a practice. It's giving you a chance to practice what we've been learning so far about subject parts and predicate parts. Where's the action verb? Where's the linking verb? Things like that. On your worksheet, you're going to do a thing where you draw the lines to connect subjects to predicates. So I made up a few sentences of my own for us to do together. All right? This side, subject. This side is predicates. Let's connect them to make sentences. All right? The first one is joy. Joy is the subject of the sentence we're about to make. Joy is who or what the sentence is about. Joy, both read Dog Man books? No. Joy loves school? No, that doesn't make sense either. Joy helps her mom. You see, this is the subject, this is the predicate. This is the action verb, helps. Joy helps her mom. This is a complete sentence. It begins with a capital letter. It has its end mark. It makes complete sense, okay? Subject, predicate. Joy helps her mom. How about this? Selah and Emmanuel M. This is the subject. Now we're going to connect it to make a complete sentence. Right here we see this both. That lets us know it's two people, so we'll connect this here. Selah and Emmanuel M. both read Dog Man books. Oh, wait, this sentence is missing something. It's not a complete sentence yet. Has its capital letters, has its action verb, but it needs end mark. Selah and Emmanuel M. both read Dog Man books, right? How about this one? Second graders, connect it, love school. Second graders love school. Okay? Now our end mark here is an exclamation point because I know you guys love learning and love school. There's your action verb. Okay, so sometimes subjects and predicates have action verbs, read, love, helps. Sometimes they have helping verbs, okay? On your worksheet, you're going to do both types. You're going to be finding both types of verbs. Here's one of the problems from your worksheet. It's number 9. It says the teacher is tall. The teacher is tall. Now, the subject, who or what is this sentence about? It's about the teacher. Now, where is the linking verb? Okay, is. And so we can draw a line between it. The subject and the predicate, and we'll circle the linking verb. So you get to do that a lot of times. They're going to want you to find the subject, find the predicate, draw a line to divide it, and then you're going to find the verb to circle it. There's another place where you'll get to fill in the blank with the best noun to make the subject, okay? And subject can be a noun or a pronoun. So sometimes if you had another sentence right in a row about the teacher is tall, she likes to read, something like that. You might, the next time you talk about the same person, you might use a pronoun. So I think you're going to do great with this. It's a practice of the things we've been working on so far, and I hope you enjoy it.